Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another part in the series I like to call reading you an excerpt of my favorite book to convince you to read it. And today we have one of my all-time favorite books. This is The Door Within. This is the first book in a fantasy trilogy called The Door Within Trilogy. Duh. And oh my goodness, it's been a while since I've read this book. This one is just one of my all-time favorites. It's like a comfort read for me. I have read it like, I don't know, I've read it so many times. And it's just a very, very good series. It's by one of my favorite fantasy authors, Wayne Thomas Batson. He is a Christian fantasy author, and I just love him so much. I love his writing. He has a lot of good books besides just this one. And yeah, he writes like Christian fantasy. It's like clean, it's good. I highly recommend it for like young people, like young teenagers. I would say like probably the youngest you could read this. I think they do have like an age recommendation, but I think like I would recommend it from like maybe as young as 10, depending. Like 10 to 12 is probably the youngest you could probably start reading this, but it's such a great book. It's an epic adventure that is about knights and dragons and good versus evil, and it's just it is like one of my favorite books. Like it's, even though you can be like 10 to 12 to start reading this, it's so good. Like I highly recommend adults to read it. This is probably my most recommended book that I like recommend to everyone. I have given away so many copies of it because I love it that much. Like I would recommend it to any adult who loves fantasy and wants a change from like the typical smut-filled romantasy that's out there. Like not that I don't love like romantic fantasy or anything, but it's just sometimes we want it clean, or sometimes we just want something that's more focused on the action and the adventure that doesn't really have a lot of like romance. Like there's maybe like kind of a little bit of like a teenage kind of cutesy puppy love romance, but it's not really the main focus. And yeah, like there are some romantic elements. There's other characters that also fall in love, but it's not like the main point. I think like the book series that I would oh my goodness, that I think sorry about that, losing my words a little bit today. I think the series that I would compare this to the most is it's very like Narnia meets Lord of the Rings, and that's what Mr. Batson very much like based it off of, because he's a huge fan of Lord of the Rings and Chronicles of Narnia and all that stuff. So I would even dare to say that this is like the truly like a Narnia Lord of the Rings hybrid of our generation, I would dare to say. And this is a book that is not talked about enough. And so that's why I am reading an excerpt for you today. Sorry, that's such a long introduction, but in order to help myself kind of speak in front of the camera and like get used to it, I'm literally filming these all in like one take, just because. And today's excerpt is not that long. It is the first chapter, and it's only like a couple of pages long. And oh, I'm so excited about this. Another reason why I'm reading this is because I love reading aloud to people. One of the opportunities that I got to have several years ago was I used to babysit kids for a church event. And I remember I brought this one time to read to the kids, and there was this boy there that absolutely fell in love with the series. I got to be able to read him the first book over the period of like several weeks, and I was able to read part of the second book, and he fell so in love with the series that he ended up, of course, like, I checked with his parents and everything to make sure it was okay to read it to him, and he got so like in love with the series that he ended up getting his own copies, and he finished reading it himself. And it was just so amazing to watch like this young man like fall in love with like this story and with reading. And it actually, like a story for another time, but it actually kind of helped him with developing like his inner character as well, of like he used to kind of have trouble with like maybe like with kids at school and bullying and like, you know, like he wasn't like someone who would start fights, but he would try to like defend people and stuff like that. And he used to kind of have a little bit of an outlook where he thought that like standing up kind of meant like physically standing up. And this book helped show him that sometimes like violence or physical force is not always an option, but it's like peace and using your words and being Christ-like, and you know, like just kind of using the words that God gives you in the moment is a better option than physical force. And so it was a story that actually really helped him kind of develop his character as like a warrior poet, as a gentleman. And I'm so happy that I got to read some of that book to him. And yeah, so anyway, I'm going to read to you from first book in the series, chapter 1. I'm so excited. Here we go. This chapter is called From Nightmare to Nightmare. The first sword missed Aiden's head by an inch. It slammed into the massive catapult's wheel, stuck for a moment, and jerked free. In that breath of time, Aiden batted away the second sword and threw himself down the hill. This foe was beyond Aiden's skill. His only chance was to get away, to escape with... Aiden looked down at the torn piece of parchment in his hand. It was something important, this parchment, something of infinite value, the key to it all. Only Aiden could not remember why it was so precious. He only knew that it was, and that he must not let the enemy get it. As he ran, Aiden glanced over his shoulder. The knight in dark armor crashed down the hill, gaining rapidly. His cloak trailed behind him like a gray wing, and he swung his two swords in wide arcs, carving the wind. The blades came closer and closer. Before Aiden could run another yard, the knight in dark armor fell upon him. Aiden turned, fended off a blow, then ran a few steps, turned again, sidestepped one blade, and barely blocked the other. "Where will you go?" rasped a voice that seemed to reach for Aiden. "Your kingdom is in ruin. Even your king has fled. All is lost." The enemy's taunts threatened to strangle the small hope that lingered in Aiden's heart, but Aiden would not give in. Aiden blocked another savage blow from the enemy and slashed away his second blade. Again, Aiden lunged away from his foe. Suddenly, he saw his chance. Beyond the next hill, a horse struggled. Its reins tangled around its dead rider's arm. Drawing from his final reserve of strength, Aiden charged up the hill and dove for the horse. It shrieked and staggered under the sudden weight, but did not fall. Aiden swept his sword up and cut the tangled reins. He thrust the parchment under his breastplate and slapped the horse hard on its hindquarters. "Go!" Aiden screamed. The beast reared briefly, but then surged ahead with such force that Aiden nearly fell. He could not reach what was left of the reins with his free hand, so he clutched the horse's neck with all his might. Aiden looked back. The knight in dark armor was now far behind and had given up pursuit. Just as Aiden allowed himself a grim smile, something hit him, hard, in the back, knocking him off the horse. He heard a sharp snap and felt the air forced out of his lungs. He lay in a heap, his face to the ground. A dull pain throbbed in his right wrist. Dizzy, he spit dust and debris from his mouth and looked up weakly from the ground. Out of the corner of his eye, he saw an enormous black wing in the gray sky. Suddenly, Aiden was kneeling on a high platform. His sword was gone, and his hands were bound behind him. A pale warrior stood tall before him. His long gray hair was drawn back, and a thin black circlet, like a thin crown, rested above his strong brow and penetrating hazel eyes. When he spoke, a shrill ringing came to Aiden's ears. The sound faded, and he heard the warrior's words. He was saying, "Make you the same offer I made your companions." His voice sounded rich and kingly, above all else to be trusted. In spite of my generosity, they chose the weaker path. Aiden turned and saw 2 knights face down beside him. They somehow seemed familiar, but they lay unnaturally still, and looming proudly over the bodies was the dark knight brandishing his twin blades. Aiden looked questioningly back to the warrior before him. "They have lost," he said, clasping his hands before his chest. "But their loss is your gain. You will have all that was to be theirs and so much more." The warrior seemed to grow. His presence intensified, and when he spread apart his hands, Aiden saw visions of grand towers, high thrones, and vaults of gold. It was all there for the asking, Aiden knew. "Look about you," the warrior continued. "All that you have defended is lost. There is nothing left." Aiden turned and saw desolation. Everywhere were fallen towers, rent walls, charred debris, and broken bodies. The sky was black, roiling with dark clouds and smoke from 1,000 fires. "All you must do," the warrior said, "is deny the one who abandoned you." A profound wave of peace washed over Aiden, and he looked steadily into the eyes of the warrior. He spoke calmly. "I will never deny my king." The Dark Knight came forward with his 2 swords, but his master held up a hand. "I'll do it myself," the warrior said. The warrior's hazel eyes flickered red as he drew a long, dark sword and drove the blade through Aiden's breastplate. "Ah! Ah!" Aiden screamed. He writhed on his bed and knocked his lamp off the table. It crashed to the ground and shattered, awakening Aiden. He shook violently, and his stomach churned. Something heaved inside him. Barely avoiding broken glass, he bolted to the hall bathroom and threw up. He collapsed and rested his head on the toilet seat. "Aiden?" came Grampin's voice from the study downstairs. "Are you okay?" "Yes!" Aiden lifted his head and managed a hoarse yell. "I'm fine!" Aiden shook his head despondently and let it thud down on the seat. The dream had been horrible, but waking up to find that his family had actually moved across the country, to Aiden, that was the real nightmare. And if you want to read the rest, get yourself a copy right now, because, dang it, I may actually kind of do a reread at this point. Just reading that first chapter got me hyped up. And if you're curious as to what the heck that nightmare was at the beginning, I'm not going to say anything more because it's that good. So anyway, go get yourself a copy. It's available on Amazon. You can get it either as an ebook, audiobook. I highly recommend the audiobook because Wayne Batson himself reads it, and he is so good. And it actually kind of helps you get into the world even better because he pronounces all of the names for you. Like, I remember, there's different names that I kind of pronounced a certain way. I mean, there is like a glossary at the beginning that kind of helps you pronounce them, but just hearing the author say them and also use the voices for the characters that he wrote, it makes the experience so much richer. But either way, you can get paperback, hardback, audiobook, ebook, all the things. I also would say if you want to get it secondhand, I always find copies of these, like this one or any other book in the series or any of his other books, at half price. I feel like every time I go to half price, there's always some sort of copy there. It's either in the teen fiction section, or there is a small, tiny little section that has Christian teen books. But yeah, or you could order it off of halfpricebooks.com or literally any other online outlet for books. It's available. It's guaranteed to be available. So yeah, highly recommend. I'm sorry, I'm so excited. But anyway, yeah, this one's probably my most excited, most anticipated one to read on this channel. So enjoy, and what are you waiting for? Go and read this book. This is a 6-star read for me. So anyway, I love you guys. God bless, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye!